we do is copy what you said the night before.
Is that how that works?
So if
You're
you
our
want,
cheat sheet.
yeah, it's like if you want a Dave Thompson rerun, a funnier rerun.
Well, yes.
Listen to our show in the morning.
Funnier and younger and hipper.
This is tough. Being out here right now tonight doing radio again. I already worked 3 hours today.
Yeah, and you got up with the birds.
Now I got 3 hours and a minute in. I'm exhausted.
Yeah, well, I can understand it. So, you guys see, we're talking about the new commercial from Jeff Johnson.
Yes.
What do you think? I mean,
Love
he
it.
takes a little shot at the governor.
That thing broke just as we were getting off the air, so we were able to talk about it in our post-show podcast.
Available at TwinCitiesNewsTalk.com.
That's right. And frankly, I like that Jeff Johnson has finally kind of taken his shots at Governor Dayton. It's definitely Governor Dayton is showing where he's falling down on the job. And in that debate in Moorhead, I watched it last night. Governor Dayton was kind of leading into everything he said, set Jeff Johnson up to criticize how Governor Dayton was doing his job. And so to follow up that debate with this ad saying that is he even aware of what is going on in his office, I thought it was perfect timing.
Yeah, people were critical of Jeff's first ad, or the most recent ad before this one, that it was too nice and it was kind of an intro piece.
Right.
I think that should have come out a month ago, but I understand that you put ads out when you've got the money.
Right.
But I like this ad, and Jeff, unlike myself, Jeff can take shots without looking like a jerk, which
I'm
not
so
everybody can
impressed
do.
by that.
Yeah.
That,
I love the ad.
Well, you know this, Dave. You ran against him.
I did.
You know, he was able to criticize you and still look great and get the endorsement.
I mean, the things he said about you, unreal.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, that's
Unreal.
your face.
Yes, yeah, I know. I know.
Not even true things.
But that's what
It doesn't
I'm most,
have to be. It's politics.
in that debate, Jeff Johnson was doing an excellent job of bringing up all the mistakes that Dayton was making, whether it be the Viking Stadium, whether it be the state legislative office building, whether it be his position on oil and trains and pipelines or mining, and not coming across as mean about it.
Yeah.
If anything, Governor Dayton came across as angry in Moorhead.
Now, Jack, you, of course, have worked on campaigns many, many times in your life.
Yep.
Is
That's why
this-
I'm so unhappy.
Exactly, yeah. And on the pills and all
Yeah,
that. Is this too little too late? Is it, this ad's hitting about 26 days before the election. Is that enough time for it to sink into people's psyche? Because let's face it, the three of us eat, live, and breathe this stuff.
right.
The average Minnesotan does not.
No, it is not too late. It depends on how much money Jeff has to run this ad. If it's going to run between now and Sunday, then yes, we're too late. That's not enough. But if this is the start of this ad from now till election day and more ads, I have faith that a victory for him is still possible. He said it was either him or you about 15 minutes ago. If people are paying attention, he wins.
I agree
But
with
that's the tricky part.
It's how do you
How
get
do we
people
get
to pay
people
attention
to
in a
pay
midterm election?
attention?
that. And maybe it's just me, but it seems as though there's a little bit more lethargy this election cycle than most. And Jeff said it himself that he expected a certain, kind of engagement right after the state fair, right? That's what we in Minnesota
Right.
think is
That's the start.
That's the start.
Yeah.
And he said really it was a couple weeks after the state fair. It was mid-September before he felt that people were really paying attention.
Well, you've got I would agree, you've got the added problem with it not being a presidential year, which even though we've got a governor and a U.S. senator up, for some reason not people only check in for presidential elections.
I know,
It
it's
blows
amazing.
my mind.
It's amazing.
Why is this year any different? I don't know. You'd think with the massive tax increases from the governor and the Democrats who ran the legislature the last 2 years, the debacle that is Minshew, that the whole Obamacare thing that is touching everybody. People should have their pitchforks and their torches and be at the state capitol every day, but they're not. I don't know.
Yeah. Do you
Too
think?
much Adrian Peterson news, perhaps.
It's funny you should say that. I've said this on air. I actually scooped a reporter on a story. I'm not going to
Really?
name the person because that wouldn't be right. It was a private conversation. And this had to do with the Attorney General's race, which I'm working on for Scott Newman. I
Yes.
fully disclosed
Yep.
that. And I literally was told, sorry, we just didn't get to it. It's been AP all the time. Unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. But if you ask the average Minnesotan, not the people here, of course, but the average Minnesotan on the street, who's more important to their life, they'll say AP instead of Jeff Johnson or Mark Dayton.
Well, what really
Well,
frustrates
they'll say
me,
Jeff who, actually.
and the
Yeah.
polls bear
Yeah,
this
worse yet.
out, that if you ask the person on the street what do they think of Minshew, they'll go, oh, that website that doesn't work? I don't think I'm not happy with it. Well, what do you think of Mark Dayton? Oh, yeah, let's reelect
Yeah.
him. They don't know that he's the guy that made that happen.
We're going to have some, who was it, Gallup did a poll on Obamacare nationwide and how it's being perceived. We'll have that for you tomorrow morning at 6 to 9. But it's not good. People don't like Obamacare. They don't think it has helped their lives at all. Yet they're not going to hold the people who put it in place accountable.
But the Democrats have an incredible ability to stay detached from the things that they do. And people don't believe, you look at our tax revenues right now are coming in under forecast. That's nerd stuff. But what it shows is it foreshadows an economic slowdown.
Right.
Nobody's talking about it.
Here is the most depressing joke I've ever heard in my life.
Jack tells terrible jokes.
I'm aware of that. I listen to your show.
One Democrat says to another Democrat, are you, don't you think Obama screwed things up? It's like, oh yeah, I really do. But don't worry. Hillary's going to fix everything.
That's depressing.
No.
I know. And I do believe there's some truth in that. All right, we had a poll out from Survey USA showing Mike McFadden down 18. I don't know if you saw, there was a National Review article out indicating that the Survey USA poll has been a bit of an outlier nationwide in a lot of races.
Okay.
I am not delusional. I do not believe Mike McFadden today is winning. No. I don't believe Jeff Johnson today is winning, but I do not believe McFadden's down 18. Do you?
Well, I thought that the Survey USA poll showing Johnson down 12 was depressing. And then the McFadden poll came out, and it's like, oh, okay, maybe Johnson has a chance then.
I don't
because
believe
genuinely, I think Mike McFadden's run an incredibly good campaign against Al Franken.
Yeah, I'm inclined not to believe it. My gut says not to believe it, but I also didn't believe the poll that showed Mark Kennedy down 20 to Amy Klobuchar in 2006, and that's exactly where that election ended up.
Thanks a lot, Jack.
Sorry.
I am convinced that
cold hard facts up and at 'em.
I'm convinced that that Bermuda ad, those ads being run by Al Franken, not by a third-party group, not by a national group.
Yeah,
it's from Al Franken saying that Mike McFadden took a company to Bermuda in order to avoid taxes. Even though that is untrue, Al Franken has been running that ad for a month. It is annoying to see that ad on television, but I think it's working.
Well, if you want to lose your mind, read the comment section of the Star Tribune where people say that they believe that is a fact. People are believing the lie from Al Franken, our U.S. Senator.
So this is what you're running up
lies
against.
To the voters.
But see, I will go a step back before that. Even if you believe it is a fact, and even if it is a fact, what is wrong with attempting to minimize your tax liability and increase your rate of return for your investors? What's wrong with that?
Between now and the election, Dave, we don't have time to educate
make
every Minnesotan think like we do, but you're right. Of course you're right.
This is where we are with the electorate. When it comes to Obamacare and MNsure, yeah, it's not working, but voters give credit because, well, at least they tried. At least they did something. And with all these other mistakes, as long as you weren't doing it for personal gain reasons, even though I'm saying that Al Franken is running these lies of an ads for his own personal gain, they don't trust if you do something for business. But if you're trying for the common man, I know we failed and we fell on our faces and we embarrassed ourselves. And if you have a new baby, you can't put them on MNsure, but at least we tried.
And I don't know if that is indicative of Minnesota voters or if that's how voters in other states are as well. This idea, and it seems to only really work for Democrats, that you can be a colossal failure. But if it appears as though your heart was in the right place, you get a pass. Waste as much money as you want, screw over as many people as you want, get as many people off their preferred health care plan, and you're okay.
So we know that these ads that show Stuart Mills with cufflinks and riding in a boat and all of these things and the hair, we know that apparently they work. But here's my question. I know there's an emotional impact from that, but if you could sit down with most people and say, really, do you think a guy should be disqualified from going to Congress because he and his family have been successful? Do you think most Minnesotans would say, no, that's disqualifying?
They elected a man with those same pedigrees to the U.S. Senate and to the Minnesota governor's seat. I mean, that is the thing that frustrates me most about those Stuart Mill ads, saying that, he's didn't earn his money, that he inherited his money, and that he's a Richie Rich. You just described Mark Dayton, and you have no problem defending him.
I would like to be part of this conversation and defend Stuart Mills, but I can't get past his long hair.
Well, what's wrong with long hair?
A man with long hair clearly can't serve in Congress.
I know.
I'm kidding.
Here's the difference between Stuart Mills and Mark Dayton. Stuart Mills actually has worked for a living at the company he's with.
Think of that. Would Mills Fleet Farm or Target hire Mark Dayton to do anything today?
No.
Could he get a job in the private sector? No way.
Stuart Mills could.
Stuart Mills could.
Yeah.
Ugh. But the difference is we don't, the Democrats, the left, pushes the narrative that if you're rich, you're bad.
Right.
So people hear that, they believe it. We don't push that from the right because we don't believe that, because we like success, whether you earn it yourself or if you're born into money. From our side, who cares?
And
you lucked out, good for you.
Because
do something with yourself now.
The left preaches that the rich is an unattainable goal. And I don't know how you fight that. We're being told by the left that if you were born poor, you just kind of stay poor, and we're going to have some programs to help you through that. You're going to have your fry-a-later job at the McDonald's, but we'll increase the minimum wage so we can pretend that you got to the middle class.
Keep in mind, this is the same left who hates the Koch brothers because they made their money with oil, but takes Elida Messenger, Rockefeller, Dayton's money,
I know.
no problem, and it's the same oil.
And
Older, dirtier oil.
And
though.
it doesn't even bother me that they are that way. What bothers me is that the public sucks it up.
You must listen to Up and Adam in the morning.
Oh, occasionally
Or
I
you
do.
and I are on the same wavelength. It bothers me less that the candidates, their groups, will be disingenuous, will lie. I have come to expect that from them. A leopard can't change its stripes.
Stripes,
But what bothers I'm with you. What bothers me is that the people buy it. I'm mad. I am frustrated with the general election voter, the public, for not questioning anything, for just taking what they're given from the left. The left is going to lie
and
because they're
Ben,
liars.
a zebra can't change its spots.
It can't.
It can
can't.
try with enough masking tape and spray paint. It could.
Exactly.
And we're not going to change the nature of Democrat groups, of leftist politicians. We're not going to change that. We can, though, if we do it right, change how the public thinks.
That's right.
So that's where I'm focused.
Education,
on the
education,
public.
education.
That's
And
right.
what you said earlier in this hour about education being the thing that if you could change one thing, it's education. I agree with you completely. And the left knows this, which is why they have the monopoly.
That's
on it.
right, because it's long term. Lowering taxes can be reversed in the next legislative session. If you educate people to understand the value and the virtue of a free society, it's enduring. All right, I'm with Jack and Ben from Up and Adam. We'll return to conclude the Dave Thompson Show here live from Orchestra Hall on Twin Cities News Talk, AM 1130 and TwinCitiesNewsTalk.com.
It's Dave Thompson now. Up and Adam tomorrow morning. Only on Twin Cities News Talk, AM 1130 and 103.5 FM.
Here's a look at the roads brought to you by State Farm. Northbound 35